What's up, guys? This is the Osmo.com Night Shift podcast talking MLB for May 31st. That is a Thursday. Just one slate to talk about. Got two early games, but we won't be talking about that here. You can hit us up on Twitter if you want to know more. I believe we will have rankings out for the two-game slate, but don't quote me on that. Just go to Osmo.com, check it out while you're there. Get your premium membership to Osmo.com. With that, you get access to our ownership projections, which are very helpful when you're making a lot of tournament lineups. And then rankings from Osmo himself, interviews and insight from Osmo himself. A lot of good stuff we got coming at you, plus all the free stuff we put out, like this podcast. So let's get into it. I believe 9 games to talk about on this Thursday slate. We'll start with Yankees and Orioles. Sonny Gray going up against Andrew Cashner. Gray's not someone I'm looking to play with the way he's looked. He is super, super cheap. So maybe some people talk themselves into Gray at 6,700, but I don't think I'll be on the Gray train. His chase rate, is down, and he's been getting lit up by righties this year. And then, of course, the Orioles are very righty-heavy. I like the top 4 bats for Baltimore: Mancini, Jones, Machado, of course, and then Jonathan Scope. I mention Machado pretty much every time there's a slate and there's not Max Scherzer going up against him pretty much. So I do like this Baltimore top 4 stack, but not crazy about the bottom of this lineup after Jonathan Scope. Cashner going for the Orioles. We know we can stack against him. Doesn't really have anything that the Yankees should have a huge issue with. Those power righties, it's not really a secret. If you have a slider that breaks hard away from the power righties, you can have some success. The Astros pitchers have had success, but they're a little bit of a different animal. Andrew Cashner, obviously not of the same caliber as Verlander and Garrett Cole and guys like that. So, I don't think the Yankees should have an issue with Cashner here. They're probably going to have a super high total. I don't see one just yet. Actually, now I do. Just refreshed the page. So, I'm seeing a 5.9 run total for the Yankees. So, huge as I expected. And now I'm seeing Masahiro Tanaka going for the Yankees. So, I want to do a quick Google search on that, because I saw it was going to be Sonny Gray. That would be pretty interesting if it was Tanaka. So let's see here. If it's Tanaka, I really have interest in him as a pitcher. I'm not sure why I didn't see that before. Everything, I checked Fangraphs and a bunch of other places, and I saw Sonny Gray. But Tanaka going up against the Orioles certainly does change some things. I wouldn't have interest in the stack, and I would have Tanaka as one of the better pitchers. But we'll just go with Gray right now. If it's Tanaka, we'll talk about him on the strategy video. Cubs and Mets. We've got Jose Quintana against Seth Lugo. I'm not the biggest Quintana guy. If you've heard me talk about him lately, I've actually been targeting against him more. But a lefty going up against the Mets is going to get my interest with how bad the Mets have been against left-handed pitching. Obviously, Conforto and Bruce and Nimmo in there. Just not very many good righty bats. Ahmed Rosario, Jose Reyes, like these guys will strike out. Reyes less than Rosario, but you get the idea. And then Quintana's coming off a nice start, showed some good swing and miss stuff, 13.3% swinging strike rate, 34% O swing percentage, or otherwise known as like chase rate. So I'm encouraged with what I've seen with Quintana. For 7,500, I think he's one of my favorite options on the slate, probably a top 3 or 4 option for me. We'll definitely have exposure to him. He'll be pretty popular, I think. Lugo going for the Mets, just pitched a few days ago. He's not going to go very long coming out of the bullpen. At least I wouldn't expect him to. And then the Mets have sort of an average bullpen in terms of xFIP and the hard contact and all the stuff that I look at. Lugo's been solid himself, but I don't mind going with some Cubs bats. Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras, Javi Baez. Like, these guys are all just pretty good hitters. Baez much improved. Contreras, one of the top catcher options, I think. Let's go to Pittsburgh and St. Louis. Trevor Williams going up against Jack Flaherty. Williams is a guy I rarely use. He's pretty good at limiting hard contact, but that's really about it. I don't usually stack against him either for that reason. Just doesn't seem to get blown up too often. And there are a handful of guys like him. I put him in like the Kyle Hendricks territory. Obviously not as good of a pitcher as Hendricks. At least I wouldn't consider him. But the same type of guy where rarely use him, rarely stack against him. Jack Flaherty going for the... actually, I should mention some St. Louis bats that I like. Pham has a 94.2 mile an hour average exit velocity over the last couple weeks against righties. So he's obviously hitting the ball very hard. And he's a guy I would use outside of him. And I'm really not seeing a ton. Ozuna was out of the lineup today. Matt Carpenter, let's check on his price. 4,100 for Carpenter is a fine price for him, but I'm not really that crazy about the St. Louis bats here. Mostly just Pham. Jack Flaherty for the Cardinals. I mean, I like him some here. The problem I have with him is he's 9,200, and it's just not a very good matchup. The Pirates are bottom 3 in the MLB in K percentage against righties over the last month. Just a thoroughly below average matchup for Flaherty. He is at home, so I get the play. I get having Flaherty exposure. I don't think he'll be heavily owned. So I get the play. I may have a little bit of exposure, but he's not one of my top 4 or 5 pitchers on this slate. The bats, Meadows Meadows have just been smoking the ball. So him and there's one other guy. Oh, Dickerson is the other guy that I like. So also not going crazy with the Pirates bats. Really either side of that game, pitchers included. All right, let's go to the Nationals and the Braves. We've got Tanner Roark going up against Sean Newcomb. I believe it's supposed to be Roark. No, nothing confirmed just yet, but Roark is another one of those guys that I put in the Kyle Hendricks territory. Shown some better strikeout stuff lately. I do love stacking up the Braves. They've sort of been my kryptonite lately in DFS. Can't seem to get them right, but I always seem to be playing them. Roark's an alright matchup for steals. That's something I definitely look at for the Braves with Inciarte and Albies especially. So I don't mind the top 4 for the Braves. Inciarte, Albies, Freeman. I mean, it's just Freddie Freeman, and then Nick Markakis. Just doesn't really strike out, puts the ball in play, and he's hitting very well this year. So the Braves could be a nice under-owned stack with just a 4.4 run total. Newcomb, he's 8,100. I don't think I can do it here against the Nationals. There's too many good hitters from both sides. Like, you got to deal with Rendon and Trey Turner and Mark Reynolds, who can still hit lefties. And then you get Bryce Harper from the left side and Soto. So it's just no cakewalk for any pitcher. If Newcomb has his best stuff, I could see him having a pretty solid start here, but I don't think he's at a price point where I'm comfortable taking that risk, especially with some of the guys that are priced below him. So I'll likely miss out on Newcomb's start if he puts it all together. I like Rendon and Turner against him, but again, not really looking to stack the Nationals either. There's one team that I'll talk about that I really like stacking tonight. It's probably pretty obvious actually, but whatever. Philadelphia and LA. We've got Aaron Nola going up against Clayton Kershaw. Welcome back, Clayton Kershaw. We'll talk about Nola quick. He's been really good over his last 5 starts, going at least 6 innings in each of them, hitting double-digit strikeouts a couple times in that span. I like the park. I like the matchup against the Dodgers. So I'll have a healthy amount of Aaron Nola. He is 11-1, and people may see Kershaw for just $700 more and be more inclined to go there. But I think I prefer Nola over Kershaw as of now. I want to see if there's a hard pitch count on Kershaw. I mean, if he's rolling, it's not really going to matter. His pitch count, he's going to get to near 100 pitches, I would assume. I just don't really know how stretched out he is. So he's making his first start since the first of the month. Of course, talking about Clayton Kershaw. He hadn't really looked like the old Kershaw in his first 7 starts of the season, just a 30.8% chase rate, 11.7% swinging strike rate, so good, but not super elite like he has been for the past few years. He's just 64th in whiffs per swing percentage. And then, yeah, the pitch count I just want to mention here. I don't know how long he's going to go, so look out for that. And then Dave Roberts as your manager is always a risky proposition, especially when a guy's dealing with injury. The Philadelphia bats, if Kershaw's going to be mega chalk, which it's a 2.9 run total for the Phillies right now, so he's going to get a lot of ownership. I think Hoskins and Altherr, just 2 lefty mashers, make sense as leverage bats against Kershaw. Cleveland and Minnesota, we've got Shane Bieber against Jake Odorizzi. I'm sure Josh will make a dad joke about Shane Bieber, but that is to be determined, I guess, to be seen. So, now that we got that out of the way, I won't make a joke about Shane Bieber, and he's no joke in general, it looks like. He's making his MLB debut against the Twins, Target Field. He's been pretty insane in the minors, 10 starts, 1.10 ERA, just threw 7 no-hit innings with 7 strikeouts in his last start on Friday, and that game got shortened because of a rain delay I read. I think it was MLB.com. He's a top prospect. He could definitely be an option here for this slate. I want to see what he's priced at. 7,300. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So I like that price for Bieber. As far as I know, no pitch count for him. I doubt there would be. He's on full rest. So the matchup against the Twins isn't great, but at hopefully low ownership, and then showing his crazy good strikeout stuff, I'll take some chances on Bieber. If you want to leverage against him, I think Kepler and Rosario are just good against right-handed pitching. So if you want to go with either of those guys, I have no issue with that. I'll probably have some Twins bats to go along with my Bieber exposure. And then Jake Odorizzi going for the Twins. He's been getting a ton of chases, and I think I talked about this the last time. A bunch of chases, bunch of swinging strikes over the last 4 starts, which is very encouraging. I mean, I hate the matchup against the Indians. In general, them against a righty against them is not a matchup I want to target. But I did some digging for the Indians as far as how they perform on the road against righties. So on the season, they've been significantly worse in that split. They have a 73 WRC plus, a 25% strikeout rate, and the lowest on-base percentage of any team in that split. So I'll be well over the field on Odorizzi. I don't think it's going to take that much Odorizzi to be over the field. But I think he's actually a really solid play. So I'll have pitchers on both sides in a 9 total game in what looks like 85-degree weather here in Minneapolis. If you want to go against Odorizzi, which I don't think is the craziest idea, I won't have many Cleveland bats, but it would be the top 3. Just really tough hitters, Lindor, Brantley, and Jose Ramirez. That's just really tough. Top 3, I always talk about them. That's why I rarely play righties against them, but I'm going to be doing it here with Odorizzi until further notice. All right, Boston and Houston. We have got Lance McCullers going up against Drew Pomeranz, and no interest in Pomeranz in this spot. Like, just zero interest. Houston's not striking out against lefties lately. They're, of course, righty heavy, and Pomeranz has a 5.09 xFIP and a whip over 2 against righties on the season, which is pretty bad, to say the least. So Houston, probably my favorite stack of the entire night. I'm hoping they stack up a bunch of righties. I mean, they really don't have many lefties to put in the lineup anyways, but I'm assuming we're going to see a ton of righties in the lineup here, and they're the perfect type of team that could tee off on Pomeranz. They're at home here. Really, the top 7 are all in play. Springer through J.D. Davis. If I have to pick a couple guys, I'm going to go with Springer and Correa. I think those are my 2 favorites, but all the way down through J.D. Davis. Yeah, I'm going to have a bunch of Astros. McCullers going for the Astros. It's a really tough matchup, of course, against Boston. If he has his best stuff, I think he's going to be able to rack up a few strikeouts here. Not sure about Mookie Betts, if he'll be in the lineup. I'm not really excited about using McCullers in this spot, although DK is kind of begging you to take him at just 8,900. With my first look through, I don't think I'll be on McCullers, but that could change. If he's going to be super, super low owned, he's a guy I like to take shots on in suboptimal matchups. So we'll see. No bats I'm really actively targeting against McCullers. Miami and San Diego, Wei and Chen going up against Jordan Lyles. Chen has got some home run issues, as we know. The Padres are at home, so I don't think it would be the craziest idea to go and play Wei and Chen, which you'll rarely hear me say, but the pitching here is not great. The pitching on this slate, I mean, I have some interest in Lyles actually on the other side. I think he's going to be somewhat of a popular play, but anytime you can get a righty against the Marlins in a huge park, pitching at home, like, Lyles is someone that I'm actually pretty interested in. Not the greatest strikeout stuff that he's shown so far, but the Marlins will certainly help you out with that. And then I like some San Diego bats here against Wei and Chen, just home run hunting off him. That's what I'm usually doing. Christian Villanueva, Hunter Renfroe, and then Jose Perella. If you are leveraging the field against Lyles, my favorite bat would be Justin Bour. First base, eligible, of course. He is 3,400, so just a nice cheap one-off you could get if you're going against the field on Lyles. All right, Texas and Seattle, last game of the night. We've got Mike Minor going up against Wade LeBlanc. Minor's 5,000, LeBlanc 5,500. Minor's just given up so much hard contact this season. He's up to 40% on the season, over 40. Not striking out that many guys, about league average. So I'm all over the same Seattle bats as we were today. Haniger, Cruz, Healy, Segura. Not leaving out Seager once again because Minor's hard contact against lefties and all of that is not very impressive. So LeBlanc going for the Mariners, just another lefty going up against the Rangers, so that's got my attention right away. I actually could find myself with a ton of Wade LeBlanc for 5,500 here. I wonder how popular he's going to be. I would assume he's going to get some ownership. People know to target against the Rangers, and especially with a lefty. So I'm ashamed to say that LeBlanc is probably going to be one of the staples to my lineups, which is very scary, but no more scary than Austin Bibbins-Dirks or someone like that. So, yeah, that's how we're going to end the Night Shift podcast. Go to bed and think about all that Wade LeBlanc exposure you're going to get if you're riding with me. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hope this got you started for your research on Thursday, May 31st. Check out Awesemo.com for our ownership projections, our rankings, spotlight hitters, pitchers, and stacks. And good luck, guys.